The CBN interest rate hike is the highest MPC rate ever and is aimed at mopping up excess naira liquidity and taming inflation. Meanwhile, data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the country's annual inflation rate jumped to 29.9% in January from 28.92% in December 2023. Primarily fueled by a continuous surge in food prices. With me to discuss the outcome of the MPC is an economist, Dr. Yushau Aliyu. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Musa.
Well, before now, or before the MPC's decision, there was this conversation that they might likely tighten. But were you expecting by 400 basis points?
I was not expecting to that level, 400 basis points to address stability in the market and also to control inflation, taking inflation to be around 29.9%. I'm not expecting that to be to that extent actually, but however, the CBN governor has identified certain scenarios that has been used by the MPC. So when you take the scenarios, it's obvious that you realize that there is increase in liquidity, and that increase in liquidity is as a result, not for economic activity, it's as a result of sharing formula that has been introduced as a result of subsidy removal. You can see the surge of fake park allocation jumping from 560 billion to around to over 1 trillion naira, and that is very challenging to an economy that is facing high inflation, high unemployment, which is termed to be a stagflated economy, and with other challenges as pointed out by the central bank, non-monetary measures. These non-monetary measures include security and looking into fiscal stability for the medium term of the economy.
So some term it as an overdose. And in a month's time, we will still go back and look at the progress made. Do you think that will change? And consider the fact that by tightening it means the cost of borrowing has increased, and amidst cost of living crisis at this point in time.
I don't think so. Looking at the economic situation and the production situation in the economy, and also the inflation situation in the economy, it is always food inflation. And once you have food inflation taking up to 35%, it's just showing you that there are factors responsible in inflation of food items as a result of supply bottlenecks. These supply bottlenecks, if they are not taken care, monetary policy cannot check what the supply of food is in the market. What will check the inflation on food inflation is availability of the product. Sometimes we disengage ourselves to understand that once you see food in the market, that does not mean that there is food in the economy. When you see food in the market also does not reveal that people are rushing to buy this food. If you look at the income grouping, and if you also work with the information that is coming from the Bureau of Statistics that is showing that as at January 2023, over 133 million Nigerians has been plunged into multidimensional poverty, and every time inflation is eroding powers of people in the market, and every time food inflation is going higher. So if food inflation is what is hitting the economy, definitely non-monetary policy can check the excesses of money supply in the economy, including also to check probably the income grouping, when you find people who are narrowly trying to use their income to sustain their living.
But monetary policy alone cannot address this situation, will it?
Yes, monetary policy cannot address the current situation, but it can improve the situation. Improving the situation, like rightly pointed out by the CBN governor, checking the scenario on ground, there is much money in the economy, and it is now left for the bank to identify where this liquidity is, and also to control the influence of that liquidity to our local economy and to the foreign exchange. I have said it in one of our programs, once you channel so much resources to the tiers of government, if this channel is not well checked, there is possibility for that domestic currency to be converted into foreign currency. We have seen that. We have seen it even from the central bank itself. When we look at the activities of former CBN governor and how a lot of exchange has been discovered outside the banking vault.
Okay. Now, the CBN has resumed sale of forex to BDCs. What do you see that doing to exchange rate in the short and long term?
It's a very good decision by the bank, because if the BDCs are flooded and checks and balances are enhanced, there is going to be stability. What we are looking for in the economy is to have a stable price before now looking even at how to control the inflation to a desired level for the economy. We are expecting supply to be regular. That is one. Also for the central bank to continue to monitor and check the excesses that may arise as a result of this window, which is very important to the bank. And we have to commend the bank for even in taking us to this situation in an attempt. You know, once you are not controlling the BDCs, when you allow them to begin to look for exchange outside banking vault, there is possibility for the bank not to controlling them. But now that the bank has opened this window, we are expecting the bank to continue to monitor them and to ensure that there is stability in the supply. Not only stability, that also Naira is appreciating. And at the same time also, I am calling the attention of the bank that direct devaluation is not necessary at this point in time when inflation is sitting above 29.9%, when there is also other multidimensional economic challenges that are facing the stability of the economy.
Okay, we've seen various interventions by the central bank after the Naira went through a volatile period. How would you assess the CBN's intervention so far, and how do we sustain that? Looking at maybe the possibility of collaborating with fiscal authority to improve liquidity or attract liquidity into the country?
To assess the central bank decision, we have to be patient enough to monitor all the measures that has been embarked by the bank and how efficient the bank is going to be in the second quarter of this year. Remember that the bank is meeting for the first time in 2024, and at the same time, like I said at the initials, I am not expecting the bank to increase the basis point by about 400, because if you look at the challenges of the economy, how many industries are leaving this economy, how many industries are closing, and how challenging most of the economic development is facing, I am not expecting that basis point to be as high as this. But if we are to go by the measures taken by the bank, including the broad policies in exchange rate management, we have to look into the second quarter for us to be able to assess whether the bank is going in the right direction, or is a trial and error, is a trial for error or trial for success.
Now, how much of this monetary policy intervention are we likely to see before we now see inflation going down?
You see, inflation cannot go down. You see, there are certain basic things you look conventionally and unconventionally. Conventionally, the central bank under MPC is doing their job. That is one. Second, unconventionally, we have to look at the supply bottlenecks. How many Nigerians do we have? And how many Nigerians have capacity to go to market? And how many Nigerians can influence prices outside conventional tools? Remember that government has understood that there is need to bring a lot of supply in terms of food items into the market, which include even the custom is now deciding to make intervention. But we want this the same avenue if the monetary tools to be successful, we want these unconventional methods to be applied more and better for us to have sufficient supply. That is one. Second, government also has to make sure that there is increase in capacity of the economic provisions in the economy, including the energy sector. You know, anytime once you have challenges with manufacturing and energy is geared to be one of the most fundamental problems, there is need for institutional in charge of that to increase capacity, to boost energy, not only boosting energy, also to look into the greatest multiplier that is changing general price level in that economy, which is the PMS. PMS pricing has to be moderated. It has to be moderated because there is a plan, there is a promise by the same economic managers that Angote is going to supply PMS into the market. This is February. So there is need to check what is stopping that supply into the market for us to have a stable PMS supply. You remember that if we don't have stable PMS supply, the transport sector is going to be translating some multiplier challenges to the price stability. Of course.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yushau Aliyu.
Mr. Yushau Aliyu.
Yushau Aliyu. Mr. Yushau Aliyu.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure doing business with you.
Thank you very much.